Hey, it's your friend Choice CJ here, and this is my Week 6 battle for the UBL. We are going up against Styx of the Token Minorities. Go check out their channel if you haven't already been there. It's a real nice place to hang out if you like Pokemon content. First off, do apologize, this is going up pretty late now. I'm recording this late on Sunday. I think at this point I'm just going to put it up on Monday. So sorry about that. I don't really have a good excuse other than I was sort of distracted this weekend doing other stuff. So that's totally on me. That's really my bad. So apologies to Styx. But hopefully you guys have had a chance to catch our match on his side. And if not, like I said, I do recommend that you go check it out. We do have a team builder going over our team this week. If you did miss it, I'll quickly recap it. We have a Choice Banded Sneasel. We have a Rock Polish, 3 attacks, Life Orb, Necrozma. We have a Toxic Facade Lopunny. We have a Unaware Quagsire with Protect to dodge Z moves from Scolipede. We have a kind of mixed bulk Pyapa Berry Venomoth, and we have a Shuckaberry Heatran. So, as you can see, Styx has brought his Decidueye, his Porygon, his Aerodactyl, his Mega Aerodactyl, mind you, his Seismitoad, his Mew, and his Scolipede. So, definitely a lot of big threats. He did bring the combination of Aerodactyl and Scolipede, which I was very scared of, just because they can sort of break down one another's checks on my team. He did luckily leave scary stuff like Gardevoir on the bench, which is really nice. But he did bring Porygon. So you can just see how pressured my Heatran is in this game. It's actually pretty wild. He did bring the Mew as I expected. Makes a lot of sense. It's a good way for him to deal with my Lopunny, so I'm expecting that to be physically defensive. And Seismitoad is there for rocks, and it can also kind of switch in on Heatran. Switch in pretty carefree on most variants of Quagsire. Can kind of switch in on Sneasel. Not my Sneasel set, just because Seismitoad doesn't really appreciate Banded Icicle Crash. But anyway. So, yeah, a lot of things that I expected for sure. Just a lot of ways for him to wear down my checks and then, you know, set himself up to win with something in the late game, whether that's Arrow or Scolipede or whatever else. So in terms of lead matchups, I'm trying to think of what he could lead with. Like if he wants to lead with something like Mew, to like, you know, go for rocks or other annoying stuff to start, or if he wants to go for Arrow for that early Mega. I think that Sneasel is a potentially good lead. Like, it basically outspeeds and threatens everything. Again, even though Arrow outspeeds, we do have that Ice Shard that we can threaten it with, and he has to respect the fact that I could be Sash. I have actually brought that this season. Sash leads Sneasel. So it just seems like a great way to apply early pressure. Like, if I can be the one applying pressure, that means that I'm not relying so much on my walls. And the longer that my walls stay around, the more likely I am to win this game. So that said, let's go ahead and click start. Wish good luck, have fun to Styx, and hope that it's a good one. Styx is in the other division, so we're not directly competing with him for playoff spots, but of course every win that we can get is going to be really nice for improving our playoff position. We are currently 4-1, and Styx is 3-2 in his division, so he's looking like he might be in playoff contention as well. So he does lead off with his Decidueye versus my Sneasel, and this is a really nice matchup for me. He has to be very afraid of what I've got, you know, packing on my Sneasel. He could potentially be like a Scarf Decidueye, but you know, he could still take big damage from Ice Shard or something like that. And Decidueye, like, it makes sense why he brought Decidueye. It's a great way of dealing with my normal types, Diggersby and Heliolisk. Anyway, he goes into his Toad and takes almost 50% from Icicle Crash, which is crazy. Definitely suggests that it's very physically invested. I figured he would just go for rocks here. I guess maybe a nicer play would have been to go for the Icicle Crash, expecting that, because nothing on his team really wants to take Icicle Crash. Like, if I just stayed in and spammed, I probably could have gotten a kill, but I thought going into Venomoth was a relatively safe play, because if he did want to go for Earthquake or something, it's not going to do a whole load of damage. Like, unfortunately, Venomoth isn't really that bulky, so even with the investment that I have, I take like 40%. But the other thing that's nice is that I can basically immediately get off the defog if I choose. He does go for the Protect here. Protect is an interesting bring, I guess, just mainly to, like, protect from... sorry, just like if he has like Toxic on this Mon, like the combination of Toxic plus Protect is definitely very annoying. So I can respect that he has that, for sure. The next turn he does go ahead and get up his rocks. I collect Sludge Bomb. Actually, I should have clicked Bug Buzz just because it does a little bit more damage to the Seismitoad. For some reason, I thought that something on his team quad resisted Bug Buzz. Well, I knew that Sludge Bomb would do neutral damage to everything, but I don't think there's anything on the team that quad resists Bug Buzz. So anyway, after the Seismitoad goes down, he does have a very good switch in with his Aerodactyl here. As I go into my Quagsire, I could go into Heatran, but the switch into Heatran is pretty damn obvious. But, you know, he has a pretty good opportunity to go just for wing attack here, because it does hit my Venomoth super effectively. But I am not going to let that thing go down just yet. He is going to go for the wing attack. And it's not going to do a whole lot of damage. It definitely suggests that it's not adamant. And I think actually after the match I was able to calc that he wasn't even max HP invested. Sorry, max attack investment. I think he had like more HP investment. So he goes into Decidueye here. I regret not making a more aggressive play and switching out here. I do go for the Waterfall as he has a very safe switch into his Decidueye here. And if he is packing U-turn, he's got a nice chance just to grab some momentum versus my team here. And I do go into Heatran now. I don't really have a great switch into Decidueye besides Heatran, which, like I said, is very risky business for me. But if I can keep my Shuckleberry intact, that helps me stay safe versus the likes of Scolipede and Aerodactyl. And of course, I do have Healing Wish on my Lopunny, so I can heal up Heatran if it does get weakened. So that would be the goal. And then, so now the Aerodactyl comes in here. He is going to go for the Earthquake, as I expect. He is going to pop my Shuckleberry, and I'll have the opportunity to hit him up with a big Flash Cannon here in just a moment. I was slightly afraid that he would be packing Aqua Tail instead of the Earthquake on the Aerodactyl, but lucky for me, he does go with the Earthquake. And funny enough, of course, Scolipede also gets Aqua Tail in addition to Earthquake, so definitely a spooky situation. But yeah, so now I got off really massive damage on Aerodactyl, which is really nice. I don't want my Heatran taking any more chip if I can help it, so I do switch on out into my Quagsire. And I don't really want this thing getting too weakened either. Like I said, I want to be applying lots of pressure throughout this game, but my Heatran's now at 25% HP, my Venomoth is at half, and my Quagsire is at half. At least I can... I'm threatening the recover here, but I am expecting him to go into his Decidueye again, and so I do try and make an aggressive switch into my Sneasel here. But he actually just goes for a Roost. Smart play, like, because he is like a relatively bulky Aerodactyl, like, it's probably worth it for him just to sort of scout and see what I have. But he is at a range of HP where a Banded Ice Shard can potentially kill, so expecting him to switch out here, I actually just go straight for a knockoff. And he's going to bring in his Decidueye. It's basically just sack fodder. I think the knockoff from Banded Sneasel to that particular Decidueye would kill like 1.5 Decidueyes, so poor guy there. And then he switches into his Mew, and so I have maybe a small lapse in judgment here. I'm like, okay, well maybe it's like a Colberberry Mew. Like, so maybe if I just get the opportunity to go for the knockoff versus this thing, yeah, it'll pop my Colberberry, or sorry, I'll pop his Colberberry and he'll live and he'll take out my Sneasel. But at least I get some critical damage on the Mew, which is nice for Lopunny. But it actually turns out that he's Scarf, so I probably should have just like paused for about 5 seconds to think about the implication of that play. But he really caught me off guard. You know, Fist F Mew is definitely what I expected, but I can respect the Scarf set just because it's bulky enough to take hits from Lopunny anyway. And then it makes it a little bit easier for him to revenge kill me. So anyway, after he goes for the U-turn, he brings in his Scolipede, and I bring in my Quagsire. I am expecting him to have the Bug Z, and this is kind of a perfect opportunity for him to go for it. And so I go for Protect as he just goes for Mega Horn, so maybe he doesn't have the Bug Z. Hard to tell yet. We haven't seen any other item, no Black Sludge, no whatever. But he is going to switch out, and I'm going to make another double into Venomoth. Basically, I thought if he was going to go for Bug Z on that next turn instead of the first turn, I'd rather sack my Venomoth than try and sack my Quagsire, just because Quagsire can still sort of deal with a lot of his team, actually. Like, basically the only thing the Quagsire can't beat right now is this PZ. But I'm hoping that it's not Scarf. I do go into my Lopunny, and I am just going to go straight for the high jump kick. And so here's the thing. So going for a high jump kick, even if he lets the Mew come in, is actually not a bad situation for me. Because if he ends up switching into that and then revenge killing me with a Psychic type move, I can go into my Necrozma. I know that he'll be locked into a Psychic type move, and I can get a Rock Polish off, and I can start applying a ton of pressure to his team, if not flat out win. It depends on what sort of EV spread the PZ has. So anyway, he actually overpredicts, goes for the U-turn. I mean, like 9 times out of 10, U-turn is definitely the right play. But like I said, my reasoning for staying in is because I kind of want him to knock me out, right? Because if he knocks me out, then I go right into my Necrozma and set up for a potential W. But he actually ends up sacking off his Aerodactyl. So it's not even quite what I wanted, if we're being quite honest. So his Protect, I could have gone for a little bit of damage here, But the problem is that, like, and I could probably live, like, either a Mega Horn or a Poison Jab from this range of HP. But the problem is that he's going to get his speed boost. He's going to get +1 speed, be able to outspeed my Lopunny, and then I will not be able to go for a Healing Wish on the following turn. So by not getting any extra damage off on this Scolipede, I kind of put myself in, what am I trying to say? I forfeit the damage on Scolipede for the opportunity to get a guaranteed heal off on my Quagsire. Because like I said, this thing can actually handle the Mew and the Scolipede. It's just the PZ that I have a little bit of a problem with. So anyway, he actually goes for Toxic Spikes. And so this definitely makes more sense why he had the Protect on Seismitoad. Just because it allows him to stall down my team a little bit more. Really, really nice tech on his part. I'm pretty impressed by that. And I do just go for an Earthquake to try and get off as much damage as possible. It's going to do the most damage versus everything on his team for sure. He's going to follow up with a Mega Horn. He's going to miss. That definitely really stinks. I'm, again, expecting him to be some sort of Bug Z. Although the fact that he hasn't gone for it maybe suggests that he's not. But we haven't seen any other item yet, which is kind of frustrating. But he is going to go for a Mega Horn now. It is finally going to connect. So I dodged the first one with a Protect. I dodged the first one due to that 15% chance to miss. And he actually supposed to be Life Orb. So this whole time I was really worried about Bug Z, and he was Life Orb the whole time. And so Life Orb is actually a bit scarier for my Quagsire just because Protect doesn't really help at all versus that. I would be better off with something like Rocky Helmet or something to just get a little bit of residual chip on him the whole time. So anyway, now this PZ comes out here. I'm in a little bit of a sticky situation because my Heatran is extremely low, my Quagsire here is extremely low, and I have an offensive Necrozma in the back. And I start doing the calcs, and my Necrozma, it has to get a max roll to do 100% to this PZ. It does like 84% min. If I had gotten up rocks at any point during this match, I might have been in a slightly better position. But this PZ without Sneasel and without Lopunny actually does outspeed everything on my team at this point. So we have to go into our Necrozma here. Basically, I have to try and set up the Rock Polish and hope that somehow I can get get 2 kills here. Because I've now learned that this thing is not Scarf. It is some sort of mixed set. Maybe it's Expert Belt or something like that. He goes for the Tri-Attack, and the Tri-Attack does a ridiculous amount of damage. And so we figure out later that this was a Silk Scarf PZ. And so that's why I did so much damage. Like, I had a chance to get up the Rock Polish, maybe land a crit with the Photon Geyser, and then be in position to maybe hang on with just a little bit of HP to take on that Mew. It turns out that even if he wasn't Silk Scarf and didn't do that tremendous amount of damage to me, he actually had Protect on his PZ as well. So all he had to do after I get up the Rock Polish is click Protect, allow that Toxic Spikes damage to rack up just a little bit more, and then even if I have survived that next turn somehow, I would probably die to Toxic Spikes damage versus that Mew, or sorry, before that Mew could even come in. So anyway, long story short, it's going to be actually a pretty close 2-0 loss, which is it was always a bummer to lose, but given the matchup, I think I'm actually pretty happy with the 2-0 loss. I was really worried that things were really going to spiral out of control there. I'm mostly happy with my strategy, like using Lopunny to sort of wall break and then heal up the walls that I had. I was able to get that Quagsire up to a good amount of HP, and without the Decidueye, the Quagsire is actually a really nice position. Just unfortunate that I basically sacked all of my checks to PZ. I guess maybe my Heatran, if it was at max HP, could have dealt with it a little bit better. But I did have Hidden Power Ground, as we saw, so it was going to be able to do a decent chunk of damage no matter what. So yeah, just basically losing to Lopunny and the Sneasel was my downfall, because then the PZ could clean up my team. So shoutouts to Styx, really nice game. He was really fun to play. I'm hoping that he makes it into playoffs, and if we do get the chance to advance to playoffs, and I think we only play the other conference if we get to championship. But if we do somehow make it to championship, I'd love it if Styx was the person that we rematched. So that's definitely pretty fun. So hope you guys enjoyed. We're going to try and bounce back next week versus our friend Root, coach of the NJ Brobats. So that's a really funny team name. I quite enjoy it. He's got a scary squad, and it's not quite a must-win game. We're still sitting nice at 4-2. We're actually first in the division still. But if we lose versus Root, there's only 3 more games left after that. And there are some pretty tough matchups. We're actually going up against Uzi Gunner's team, who is currently undefeated. So that might be another L. So if we basically if we lose next week and we lose to Uzi, we're looking at a 4-4 record, and then there's 2 other games left, and we basically have to win both of those because that'll give us a 6-4 record, and I think 6-4 will be good enough to advance, but I'm not sure that 5-5 will be good enough to advance. I guess it depends on differential and things like that, but my differential is just okay. We have a couple of nice wins, like we had a 5-0 win and a 4-0 win in the first 2 weeks, and I think we had, was it a 4-0 win versus Silver Beanie or a 3-0 win? I don't remember. But then we had a tough loss versus Dan, getting beat 4-0. So that's definitely rough. That sort of evened out my differential. So yeah, make sure you guys tune in next week to see if we can bounce back. And make sure you check back to my channel for other gaming and Pokemon content. There's that sub button, of course, down below, and that like button. Make sure you guys hit those. Until the next time, I will see you guys later.